Hello guys and welcome to another video. Recently I bought a pink laptop off of eBay. Yes, that's right, it's a pink Sony Vaio. That's in this box right here. And I must say, the laptop's moving around a concerning amount in this box, so hopefully it survived the shipping. Anyway, let's open up the box and discover whether it still works. So here we've got the box with many stamps that got it to our door. Now we can see why it was rattling around so much inside. Oh, there's the reason. It's literally just been placed inside a Woolies plastic bag. Here's a pro tip for all of you. Use more than just a plastic bag to secure a laptop if you're sending one off. And as we can see, it does include the charger as the eBay listing described. Opening up the laptop, the hinge is thankfully still strong and it doesn't look all that bad. The laptop and trackpad are also not too grimy, and the fact that all of the stickers are intact is a good sign. The lid, however, is quite scratched up and looks quite dirty. Nothing a bit of eucalyptus oil can't remedy though. So let's power it up and make sure it still works after being shipped in a plastic bag. As far as naming goes, Sony called this model the PCG41213W, and the product name is VPCS-B16FG, both very memorable and easy to remember. Originally costing $1,399 here in Australia, you could have gotten a comparably spec'd 13-inch MacBook Pro for the same price at the time. The eBay listing mentioned it had Windows 7 multiple times, however it actually has a version of Windows 10 which loaded incredibly slowly. My guess would be that the original hard disk is about to fail. The drive is running at close to 100% while simply idling, and as we can see it has 4GB of RAM and a second generation dual-core i5 processor. I'll be sure to swap out the 300GB mechanical hard drive with a cheap solid-state drive later in the video. The battery does appear to be charging, and at the very least it turns on and works. Before we clean it out and do some upgrades, I think it's time we give it a bit of a clean with a healthy dose of eucalyptus oil. And as I always say, you should clean off any electronics you buy secondhand online. You really do not know who or what has been touching it. Removing this small cover on the base reveals the battery, hard disk, and vacant DDR3 RAM slot. Sony made it very easy to remove the battery, which is held in place without screws. The hard disk caddy is also very easy to remove and is held in place with 4 small Phillips head screws. You could put basically any SATA drive in here that you want. The 320GB WD Blue is about 10 years old, and it's not too surprising that it's about to fail. For such a small and compact laptop, it's quite surprising that Sony managed to cram in a tray-loading DVD drive. This is definitely the first laptop optical drive I've seen that doesn't completely cover the laser mechanism inside. A downside to this laptop's design is that it needs to be almost completely disassembled to get access to the fan and thermal system. And with all the case screws taken out, there are 2 ribbon cables hidden under this protective flap that need to be dislodged. And now the top casing assembly can be removed from the laptop. There feel like there are several clips holding it in place, so I tried to be very gentle as to not snap them. This gives us our first look at the rather compact motherboard of the Sony Vaio. It appears as most of the ribbon connectors have an insulated strip of tape on them as well. These are likely used to, you guessed it, insulate the connectors from potential interference. They were also not that easy to remove, requiring more force than I would have expected. Next, I went through and disconnected everything I could see that was attached to the board. Actually getting the board out was another challenge entirely. Making it difficult was the fact that the fan comes out at the same time. It wasn't obvious to me that the end of the cooling pipe was slightly jammed under the SATA connector for the DVD drive. With that issue resolved, we get our first look at the nearly bare metal chassis of the laptop. To finally remove the heat pipes from the CPU and graphics chip, I unscrewed all the screws, however it wasn't coming off. It really felt as if it was glued to the chips underneath, meaning the thermal paste had basically become rock hard. And yeah, that paste was the hardest I've ever come across in a laptop. A bit of isopropyl alcohol was required to soften it up, and much to my surprise when I cracked the single system fan open, there was next to no dust. All of the dust appears to have been hiding around the body of the laptop, which required a brushing. It's also not surprising that the paste on the processors themselves was solid as a rock. As there were no signs that anyone had ever disassembled this laptop, the paste had been there for nearly 10 years and wouldn't have been too effective now. In its place, I'm using Arctic MX4, which provides decent thermal transfer at a reasonable price. Placing the board back in was also quite a challenge as I didn't want to jam any of the connectors underneath. I did manage to break off this little black thing, which thankfully was only a small piece of rubber and not an electrical component. The keyboard assembly also houses two very small speakers, which explains why they don't sound very good. With it all clipped back in place, I removed the old failing hard drive and replaced it with a cheap A400 Kingston SSD. This will dramatically improve the system's responsiveness and make it far more usable. Last of all, I added a second stick of 1333 MHz DDR memory, bringing the system to a total of 6 GB. I would have added a larger stick, however I've actually run out of 4 GB modules. Taking my time to disassemble it carefully has paid off, as it still works. It detects the new drive and seems to be working with the extra RAM. And after installing Windows 10 with all the correct drivers, everything seemed to be functioning fine. But when it came time to running 3D applications, the laptop wouldn't switch to the far more powerful AMD graphics. The drivers were correctly installed, and the AMD Catalyst software gave me no option to switch between the low-powered Intel and the high-powered performance graphics. The graphics options in Windows 10 were no help either. It's my understanding that the Intel graphics work in tandem with the AMD chipset, which is a shame as there are no supported drivers or software for Windows 10, according to Intel's very own site. Sony's own website no longer has any drivers for this laptop anymore. As of March 1st, 2018, they pulled the plug on any system they sold that came with Windows 10 pre-installed. My next idea was to install a version of Linux. I asked the people of Twitter which version they'd recommend, and I had no idea there were so many different versions. I ended up going with Linux Mint as it's based on Ubuntu, a version I was somewhat familiar with. And once I downloaded the Linux ISO, all I had to do was install a simple mounting tool, insert a blank USB, and a short time later I had my Linux install drive. With the Linux install USB inserted, it loaded straight into the boot menu, and once in the operating system I could either run it straight from the USB as a test, or install Linux to the external hard drive. The whole process was super easy, and even a Linux noob like myself was able to set everything up. As I left it to install, I turned my lights off to discover that it actually had a backlit keyboard, not a very common feature in a Windows laptop circa 2011. After doing some research and fiddling around with the built-in graphics switcher, I still wasn't able to get it running on the AMD discrete graphics. So for the rest of this video, I'll be living with the far weaker Intel 3000 chipset. So far, I've really enjoyed using Linux. The software manager is a huge collection of applications that you can download. Most, if not all, are actually free. Super Tux Kart is a pretty competent Mario Kart clone, featuring heaps of different levels, multiplayer, and different game modes. For a free game, it's really fun and performs great on this laptop. There's even a half-decent Minecraft clone called Minetest. It's very similar to the official version of Minecraft. There's also heaps of active multiplayer servers to join. There's definitely a lot of fun to be had on here. The official version of Minecraft is also supported on Linux. It runs alright, but would be better with the AMD graphics though. And feel free to join my server. Steam also has an ever-growing library of compatible games that run on Linux, which is a surprise to me as I always thought Linux was pretty limited when it came to game selection. Terraria is one of my favourite games to test on old computers. It's not hitting 60 frames per second, but I'd say it's still playable.
Hello and welcome back to...
When it comes to web browsing, it's a great laptop. Full HD YouTube playback is excellent, and there are many options when it comes to selecting a browser. So, back in 2011, why would you buy one of these instead of, say, a 13-inch MacBook Pro for the same price? The two laptops share quite a bit in common. Their overall dimensions are nearly identical, as are the specifications in the base configuration. The Sony Vaio is slightly thicker, but the Vaio is also 333 grams lighter. The display, with a resolution of 1366 by 768, is mediocre at best and has poor viewing angles. I must say the keyboard is really nice to type on. The keys feel clicky and have what I'd consider to be a good amount of travel. The wide variety of ports is also excellent to see on a laptop of this size. This was designed to be a stylish and very portable laptop. Even though some features are now absent without official drivers, it's cool to own such a uniquely styled laptop that's now 10 years old.
So there we have it, a pink Sony Vaio laptop. Honestly, it looks pretty cool and I'm really glad I bought it. Not exactly sure what I'm going to do with it now, but either way, this video isn't sponsored, so I'd appreciate it if you like the video, if you leave a like, and if you want to see more, definitely consider subscribing. Have a good day, and I'll see you in the next video.